is what we want in the future. Let's get a global perspective on the native forests. Native forests provide an indispensable contribution to life as we know it, and as you guys have known it, as your grandparents have known it. Forests provide a number
yeah, but you don't want our bloody kids to know it, don't do you? It might be,
They pervade water, they regulate our climate, they are consumers of carbon, and they store enormous amounts of carbon. More than twice the amount is present in the atmosphere. They are treasure houses of species, they provide the protection and regulation of soil health. Forest houses
and they regrow, mate. They come back time after time after time.
Look, that's dirty water now.
Terrestrial species, 80% depend on forests. Forests provide livelihoods wholly or partly for about 400 million of the world's poorest people. Primary forests, not cut down. But forests regulate water runoff, mitigating risks of flooding and drought, has been recognised since ancient times. The ancients also understood that trees can increase rainfall and deforestation can reduce it. An area twice the size of Tasmania is lost globally every year. Natural forests have vanished completely from 25 countries, with another 29 countries retaining less than 10% of their natural forests.
Go there.
The annual cost of the ongoing deforestation and forest degradation to the global economy has been priced between US $2 trillion and US $4.5 trillion. The importance of plants' ability to store carbon in making the planet habitable is still not widely appreciated. There is increasing evidence suggests that primary or old-growth forests are seizing the opportunity of a carbon-heavy atmosphere to suck up more carbon than they can produce. Across the world, forests and the soil beneath them absorb about a quarter of all carbon emissions. Forests with high biodiversity will be resilient to climate change. The Earth's need for forests to soak up carbon emissions is almost limitless. Saving the forest that is left should therefore be considered a modest aim, but even that will require huge improvements in forest management, such as reforming land registries and tightening up law enforcement. Above all, it will require governments and the community to prize natural forests very much more highly than they do now. It will also require politicians and the community to get serious about climate change. Most of the goods and services the country's forests provide are visible to the people who develop the economy. Many of them are public goods, such as things like clean air and reliable rainfall that everyone wants and nobody is prepared to pay for. Forests are usually built solely for their main commercial use in timber, which is why they are so wantonly logged and cleared. The more that people learn about forests, the more perilous their management seems. And a national perspective, more than 300 Australian vertebrate species depend for nesting and shelter on hollows that exist in big old trees, which are largely absent from regrowth forests and entirely absent from plantations. Australia has an abysmal global record on biodiversity conservation, with the highest number of threatened and extinct species per capita in the world, and is one leader in recent extinctions. Australia has a troubled and declining native forest sector dwarfed by a stable and growing plantations. In 2010, Michael O'Connor, CFMU National Secretary, said, "The hard truth is that the native forest industry in every state across Australia is in crisis. The industry is on the verge of collapse." It's not my quote, it's Michael O'Connor's quote. In Tasmania, the native forest industry is not sustainable. Who would have trumpeted the logging industry and who did so 7 years ago when they stood next to then Prime Minister John Howard, have now stated that the jobs in the native forest industry are unsustainable. With that in mind, and the global significance and national significance of native forests, I'm going to turn my attention to the Huonville.
Back to New South Wales.
Thank you for being so quiet. These native forests significant to the Tasmanian Aboriginal peoples, home to the endangered Tasmanian Tasmanian devil and the Tasmanian masked owl, all endemic species to Tasmania. The masked owl, for example, is endangered due to ongoing habitat loss, especially old-growth forests suitable for breeding. Achieving full legislative protection for Tasmania's forests does not mean a more depressed economy, with a community of people who are unemployed. It does not mean that. It can mean a future that contributes largely to mitigating climate change, growing a vibrant economy that is sustainable, and realising that sustainable industries promote sustainable communities. Communities Huon Valley or Tasmania as a whole. We have businesses making products that utilise this brand to gain a premium price. They employ people and they create benefits for the region too. Protecting the forest would create an enormous opportunity to promote the region and our industries such as food, tourism and wine. Tasmania's forests are an absolutely unique asset. They perform vital services and provide values that underpin Tasmania's brand and a unique position within the global marketplace. The clean air, pure water, healthy soils and natural landscapes are all maintained by flourishing natural forests. Protecting forests would secure huge carbon stores contained in our forests and prevent the massive level of emissions created by logging. We'd also reap the benefits of protecting water supplies, saving habitat for wildlife and securing Tasmania's clean, clever brand by leading the world on protecting nature as a climate initiative. Realising the benefits of protecting native forests and planning a future that is not based on one that heavily relies on the resource extraction of native forests is a daunting task. It is a revolution, though it's not impossible and it must be done.
Perhaps that's what we need, a revolution.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. We're just going to keep it rolling. Next up is Think About Raising the Wilderness Society.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming. This is a pretty unique opportunity. We're hosting a range of these forums around the state, and the idea of them very much is to come and talk to the community about what's going on, what our perspective is on the future of the forest industry, the future of Tasmanian community as a whole.
What about our perspective, mate?
What about it? Give everybody an opportunity to ask questions and explore things. So, I'm absolutely here to talk to you about what we think and to accept and answer your questions. So, absolutely prepared to answer your questions. But let me just run through a quick overview of where we think things are at and where we hope things are going. So, first today, I'm going to talk through basically there's a broad statewide, and as we heard from Jenny, national. We are not in a process. We don't engage in talks just for talking's sake. We don't engage in talks to make new friends with the industry, to make new alive. Barry, you wanted to say something, but let's try and keep the discussion on that.
So we're going to make a point with the questions. I know there's going to be a lot of questions. Just so we can get through this, what I'm going to do is we'll start from the, like, if people put their hand up, we'll start from the back. Try and come forward, and you please stick to one question, let him answer, and then move on to the next person so that people actually get a chance to ask their questions. So I've got one, I've got Alan, I've got this man over here as well. I'll keep those three at the moment, and then we'll go after that.
Mickey, you talk about the flawed assessment process for the plot bill.
Yes.
The decision to lock your aspiration to lock up 500,000 hectares going to be subject to a full economic, social and environmental assessment, and would you abide by the outcomes?
Well, no, all I can do is let's go back to the agreement. We are talking about a statement of principles that a bunch of organisations, industry organisations, barriers organisations, the unions and so forth have signed as a way forward. That document says that the ENGO identified high conservation value forests are what needs to be protected.
Bring the map, boy.
Please, you can ask later, Barry.
No way! No way! What's this fella here? Sit down!
The statement of principles identifies that the ENGO identified high conservation value forests to be protected. If the stated intention of this, or one of the stated intentions of the statement of principles of this whole process is to get us beyond the conflict, it's logical we need to protect, take out of the system those areas in the community broadly.
Not an agreement.
One community. One side of the
Since when do you get the right?
Alan, you had your hand up next, so you can ask a question.
I read it's a follow-up question. Are you prepared, after the assessments under the high conservation value forest, are you prepared to accept the decision?
Well, there is no assessment of the high conservation.
So how did you arrive at your map then, mate?
All I can do is refer back
those are areas that are going to be logged. What I'd like to ask the question, do you understand about how far away from creeks, how far away from mountains logging can be done? Because if you don't understand, I'm sure that some of our forestry people over here who are employed to do that and have an understanding wedge-tailed eagles, how far they're allowed to log areas from there. Do you have an understanding of that? And if you do, why do you show it here in public and try and say this is what's going to be destroyed when it's not?
Feel free to ask questions of other speakers as well, but absolutely we absolutely understand that logging in Tasmania is done under a forest practices code, under a forest practices system. That
there's nothing wrong with it. Not just the forest practices code, the best one in the world, mate.
My question was, why do you show it on slides in a public forum for all Huon to see and say this is what's being ruined? It's not. It's why put them up on the screen. Show the publicity issue.
Well, the photos that we put up on the screen, and Rob can speak to this, but the photos that we put up on the screen are pictures of forests that some of you work in or have worked in that are within the coop and that indicate and represent places that we know either have been or are going to be logged.